Hello friend, welcome back to Mick. My name is Jack, the snack that smiles back. We have Emily here once again. Say hello, Emily.
Hello.
Oh, Emily. You've got a rather...
Yeah, my voice has been a bit rough today.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, you should probably just be quiet for the entire video so you let your voice rest.
I agree.
Cool. Alright, let's get started. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife she should be thankful my daughter only called the cops and didn't press charges on her? I've been with my wife for 4 years. I have a 20-year-old daughter, and she and my wife were never able to form a strong bond. And one of the reasons for that is distance. My wife did try to get close to my daughter in the past, but my daughter claimed she was just attempting to control her rather than have a respectful relationship with her. They had past issues, but now get along a bit. My daughter was visiting for Thanksgiving and brought her Honda car with her. I was out of the house when my wife, whose car's been sitting in the garage for a month now, took my daughter's car keys without her permission while she was showering and left in it for nearly 2 hours. My daughter called me as soon as she got out of the bathroom and was freaking out, saying neither her car or my wife were there. I tried to calm her down as I tried to get a hold of my wife, but she did not respond. We, at this point, figured my wife took the car, but did not know where she was or when she was coming back. My daughter searched my wife's closet, then called the cops and reported her car taken. She got called back to tell me my wife's closet was half empty and cops were called. I got off work and went home immediately, and on the way home, my wife called crying that she just got picked up by the cops at Walmart and was brought into the station. I went over there and met my daughter there. We discussed what happened, and it turned out my wife took the car to go do some shopping and left my daughter a note in the kitchen to let her know since she doesn't have her number, and took clothes from her closet she packed earlier in the morning for church donations. But my daughter thought she ran away and told the cops that this woman, my wife, ran away with her car. My daughter got her car back and my wife was let go after filling out a form. I took her home. That is where she had a fight with my daughter, calling her crazy for calling the cops on her, and a few other things I can't remember, but I told my wife that what she did was unacceptable, and she should be grateful my daughter only called the cops in a moment of panic and did not press charges after what she did. Now, my wife was shocked and started crying, saying she couldn't believe I sided with my daughter after she humiliated her and caused her panic and to be involved with the cops like that. I stated that she should have not touched that key in the first place, and she defended herself, saying she was getting things done and buying stuff we needed for the house, but we made her out to be the bad guy. So she left to her sister's place, saying she had enough of my daughter's disgraceful and vindictive attitude towards her and said she'll stay there indefinitely, or until I get my priorities straight, because after what happened, she's no longer sure if she is my wife or whether she was treated as such. Another thing to note, my wife's car isn't working and has been in the garage for a while now. That is why she took my daughter's car. Part of me wants to point out she left a note, but also, you left just a note? You didn't at least knock on the shower? You didn't at least knock on the bathroom door? Come on. Biggest support goes to Nata. Gotta be honest, my first thought is your wife might have tried to arrange a situation for you to get mad at your daughter and make her stay away even more. Now she's just upset it backfired. Did you actually find the note in the kitchen? Ooh, conspiracy. Did anyone else pick that up though? I didn't really notice any sort of malcontent. Is that the word? Malcontent? I'm just going on. That's not the word I'm looking for. Some other good points people are asking for though. If her car isn't working and she's got all these errands to be doing, why haven't you offered your car? Why haven't you organized that? At the same time though, what she stole the car for is very innocent and warranted. Like what Box says here, wife took a family member's car without permission to run errands for a few hours equals wife is an insane car thief and you should divorce her. Your daughter is dramatic. I kind of agree. I will still believe the wife is a bit of an a-hole in the situation though. I mean, she didn't get permission to take the car in the first place. She literally took someone's liability as if it was her right to take it regardless of any approval. On the AITA side though, the cops. Your daughter called the cops. She knew your wife had the car and she called the cops. You can argue that the one who really escalated the situation beyond the means it really needed to be was the daughter. This is something only really the OP can answer, But did he genuinely think his wife was someone who would try and steal a car? Steal your daughter's car with some evil intention to do dastardly deeds to her car? It's a view like that really makes me kind of ponder, maybe it is a bit of a esh. Am I the a-hole for ruining my boyfriend's relationship with his mom? I'm a 19-year-old female and I'm living with my boyfriend, who's 18, in his mom, who's 54's house. I live in my boyfriend's bedroom, with both of us paying her $250, around $500 total, a month for roughly 300 square feet. We all had the same 3 days off, so this made relaxation a bit more than troubling. For example, she had no boundaries. I'm talking she still left the door to the bathroom open when she showered, and when she left her bedroom door open 24/7, I once saw her naked. I was appalled that she would do that with me in the house. Now, I understood that it was her house and her rules, but to do that with someone else's kid in the house kind of baffled me, as I still told my own mother to this day to please shut the door when she changes, as I would not like to see that. She claimed that because it was her son's bedroom, she could barge in whenever she liked. Most times, she didn't even knock. She would just swing open the door to yell at me about something I did or didn't do. I understood that it was her son's room, but even then, he didn't get any privacy either. Now, I have severe anxiety and depression, clinically diagnosed, and one day she barged in as always, yelling at my boyfriend about the dishes and whatnot that hadn't been done by him. She then turns to me and starts shouting at me about how I always sat there and acted all innocent, and how I was so disrespectful towards me. Also, how I ruined my son and my relationship, and how she wished her son never met me. Now, I have always been mild-mannered towards her no matter what she had done, but this time, she pushed my limits. She started screaming at me about how I was a terrible person, and everything's just a power play with you. She calls me a lot of names and basically tells me that she and her son would be better off with me gone. I lost it. Now, as someone who was depressed as frick, this hurt. It was something that I told myself basically every day, but hearing her say it hurt a lot more. I don't remember much more after that. I was seeing so much red because everything that she said wasn't true at all. The worst part of living there was the constant berating of her for us to do everything for her. We hated leaving the room because she would find something for us to do to help her with, or she would be upset about something. We couldn't even leave the house in peace. If she went to the store to get groceries, we always had to buy things for her. She was vegan, so her food items were expensive. On top of that, she only wanted the best kind. We once spent $20 for her to get peanut butter and jelly, and unless we asked specifically for payment back, she wouldn't. My boyfriend, unfortunately, is not a very confrontational kind of person, so he doesn't ask unless we are truly needing that money. She mentioned constantly that if I wanted to move out, I should. That was 2 months ago. My boyfriend and I now moved out and alone in a different city. She still calls and berates and still thinks I'm the a-hole for ruining her relationship with her son. So I ask again, Reddit, am I the a-hole? I'll do mother who's afraid her son is leaving her for another woman because she's projected this idea that he's her new husband for $20, please. Sure, you own the house, but the moment your child and someone else in that house is paying to live there with you, you no longer get authority over every corner of the house. And that idea that she can just barge into the son's room whenever she wants? No, you can't. Well, you can. You just can't be surprised as to what's ended up here, where your son's left you and gone basically no contact. The top comment makes a very fair point. That was just a giant rant that gave us absolutely no clue if you actually did anything to ruin the relationship with his mother. Maybe go to r/justnomother-in-law instead. Which that alone makes me suspicious, because look, as much as most mums can be absolutely insane, there have to have been something, some display in behavior that you've been creating in the household that's caused her to genuinely believe this about you. For all we know, maybe she's someone who's always telling the boyfriend that he needs to be doing things this way and this way. Don't do it the way your mother tells you to do it. You're a man now, you gotta do it this way. Overall, a wholesome story as to why you should never show affection to your mother if you're a male. Because you're gonna break her heart the moment you find someone else you love. That's the lesson I'm taking away from it. Don't respect your mother. Now, am I the a-hole for being ticked off at my wife for criticizing the things I work hard on and for? My wife is a sweetheart, and everyone knows her to be one. She pulls more than her share of the weight, and I love her dearly. Don't get confused by what's below. It's a very, very small snippet of our everyday life together. albeit an annoying one. But over the course of our relationship, I've noticed a trend. Anytime I finish a project, buy something I'm excited about, or something of the sort, my wife can't help herself but to criticize it. She does so after thanking me for and complimenting it first, but usually it's the second or third sentence out of her mouth after thanking me. For example, when I bought my first new car, I was super excited about it. I spent some decent money on it and customized it. I had worked hard for it. I was proud. I invited her out for a cruise and she admired it, but within seconds of getting inside, she said, "No sunroof?" When I proposed was probably the worst, where she got kinda whiny, as if it wasn't exactly how she'd imagined it. I had to start over again after this awkward moment. She has some pretty crippling anxiety, so that definitely played into it. In the end, it really put a smudge on the whole thing for me, and I probably remember that more than anything else about the day. It happens often enough that we both recognize it as a pattern. Usually, I just joke about it and make it clear I'm annoyed, but we laugh it off. But it's tiresome. Sometimes I get mad. Nowadays, that's more often the case. Just now, I spent hours putting a bedside table together. You know the type, with a million pieces and screws. I had her come in and take a look, and she complimented it, but the second or third sentence out of her mouth was, "Oh, we'll need to change the knobs." I know it probably seems small, but when you recognize the pattern, it can be annoying for big and small things. Sometimes it's things I worked really hard on, laboring and sweating, etc., and I just don't need to hear what isn't perfect about it within seconds of her reacting to it. So if I keep getting more and more ticked off about it, am I the a-hole? So there's things I want to bring up with this one alone. So firstly, I am going to think you're the a-hole in this. Though my reasoning would be something that really is both of your responsibilities, but mainly on you because clearly this is affecting you, yet your only so far efforts to bring this up is just by saying you notice this pattern. Great. We know it's there. That's literally the first step to solving something, not the final step. You're not done. Introduce her to the context of the compliment sandwich. You give some criticism, support, and then criticism. I got that wrong. Compliment, criticism, compliment. Yes, you want more compliments than criticism, oh god. But also consider her nature as a person. Is she someone who's always looking to improve things? Is she someone who's always observant of things? In a way, this can be her expressing her love towards you. She genuinely cares about you doing the best you can, or like creating the best things, or getting the best stuff for yourself. That she's always willing to find where something isn't right that can be improved for the better because she believes you can be for the better. Of course, this behavior can have its faults. This story is an example. They're the top comment here. So info please. You say your wife is a sweetheart. Is she? Because I'm kind of getting the opposite vibe from literally everything you write about her in this post. And people add on to this. Her cringing when you propose to her wrong is indeed a big thing. You need to have a talk with your wife and explain how much this hurts you. It seems like she deliberately sets out to take all the joy out of your proudest accomplishments and make them seem like nothing. That's just cruel. And I'm willing to bet that the longer it goes on, the worse it will get. You're letting her crush your self-esteem and then laughing about it with her. This is not normal or healthy. Now that does change my perspective on things. I guess I'm being a bit too hopeful in my original comment. This could also be her way of trying to bring you down a notch, not make you feel too good about yourself. Can't have an ego. You're a man. You're not allowed to have some sort of level of self-worth, because then you'll be too full of yourself, you egotistical male. So I guess there's those two sides of it all. On one end, this is just her way of showing affection. On the other end, this is her way to deal with her own insecurities and not make you seem like you're better than what she could ever have. So I bring this one to you then. Where do you stand? Not just Natar here, because obviously it's Natar. He's feeling hurt and upset. Of course, he's not the a-hole to feel those things. But if we apply some relationship advice logic to this, how can he go about it? Where is he in the wrong here, and where is she in the wrong? Sticking to the tradition of wedding stories, am I the a-hole for telling my brother and sister-in-law, you got your big day, now you have to deal with the consequences? I'm a 29-year-old female, and my brother, who's 31, and his wife, 34, got married 2 months ago. They had a destination wedding. Unfortunately, none of our side except a cousin could attend due to multiple valid reasons, which I list a short few. Grandparents, too old. Our parents, mum has breast cancer and my dad takes full care of her. Me and our youngest brothers and girlfriend, heavily pregnant or newborns. Our older brother and aunt, busy doctors who have to be extra careful. Everyone else either couldn't afford it or couldn't afford to take 2 weeks off. We tried to explain to them the situation months before the wedding, but were hit with, Our wedding, our rules. Don't like it, don't come. We asked to be able to help in any way we could, but a few weeks before the wedding, their attitudes changed, where we told they'd prefer to go low contact because we weren't coming to the wedding, which meant we didn't support their marriage. I even begged to pay for the bridesmaids' dresses, but my brother told me he didn't want my money, he wanted me at his day. I tried to explain to him. His wedding was 4 days before my due date. He ended up screaming at me, calling me a spoiled, entitled brat, then blocking me. They did similar stuff with everyone else. They even went as far as getting my extremely sick mother upset, to the point my father stopped talking to my brother. So on to the situation. After months of passive-aggressive posts on social media and bride/groomzilla tantrums, they wanted to make up with everyone due to my mother finding out extremely heartbreaking news. She has 6 months left. We all ended up having dinner at my family home tonight, with everyone being extremely cold to my brother and his wife. No one really cared to listen to them about their wedding, nor looked at their photos. My brother ended up getting us, the siblings, alone to ask us why we were being such dicks. My youngest brother told him tonight wasn't the time, then walked out. Oldest said when Mum died he would never speak to him again, but due to the fact I'm his only sister, he seems more mad and upset at me. I told them, "You got your big day, now you have to deal with the consequences." My brother and sister-in-law got extremely upset, then left. My mother asked what happened, but we told her he had the runs, diarrhea, and needed to leave. My brother sent me a heartbreaking email afterwards on how he felt so rejected that we weren't at his wedding, nor apologized afterwards. My camera's battery is dying, so we'll skip straight to the comments. Top opinion, Nata. Your brother and his wife obviously had grand visions for their wedding and seemed to be entirely tone deaf about the viability of those visions. That's not your fault or issue. They seem pretty immature. Unsurprisingly, everyone is Natar in this comments. Great job, OP, for not making anyone doubt you for a second. Mum Too Shady brings up a great point here. My mind is totally blown that your family meets while everyone is digesting the news that she has only 6 more months, and your brother and sister-in-law want to discuss their wedding. Get you and your siblings alone, not to discuss your mother, but his hurt feelings. Maybe he'll grow up someday. Yeah, it is seeming like he's stuck in a bit of a me stage of life. Now, obviously it's a Natar, but do you reconcile here? I guess it depends on how much of a family they genuinely are to you. On one hand, if you reach out first to try and apologize and rectify the issue, are you not just normalizing their behavior? Are you not just letting them realize and subconsciously know that they can get away with being this all about them? On the other hand, are you willing, and do you even know if he'll ever come and apologize to you? After all, reconciliation and things like this, especially in family, it requires more than one person to do it. So what's the best way to be the better person? To make the first step yourself, or to not and disallow them from being able to walk all over you with their terribly toxic behavior? Next story, am I the a-hole for refusing to allow my sister's boyfriend into my home? My sister and I have always got along despite her having an issue with intravenous. That's a new word. Drug use. Sometimes she stays in touch, other times I don't see or hear from her in 8 months. She visits and texts my other family, but never me. Though I've always been honest about how I don't like her drug use at all. I recently had a daughter 9 months ago, and my sister has never came to see her niece, though she knows she's welcome. Today, I get a call while I'm at work. The first thing my wife says is, "Don't panic," which I ignore and panic anyway. "Your mother gave your sister my number. She's coming to use the shower." Now, my sister is currently friend hopping, which means she's homeless and hasn't contacted me in 9 months. I assume she hasn't had a shower in a while and has no place to do so. And against the bad feeling in my gut, I agree. I specifically tell my wife that only my sister is allowed to come there and shower. And if she shows up with anyone shady, to call me and let me talk to her. I get the call. My sister's there. She's high. The guy she's with is high as well too, and not her regular boyfriend. My exact words on the phone were, her name, "I don't want any strangers or anyone but you in my freaking house." My sister loses it. calls my parents and tells them I cursed at her and wouldn't help her. She leaves without showering or making too much of a scene. They seemed harmless enough, and my sister has never stolen from me or anything, despite her hard drug addiction. In this scenario, I feel like I'm not an a-hole because my wife and newborn were home alone, and I don't trust some random stoned, not weed, stranger she brought with her. Intravenous drugs are dirty, and I don't know this man, and barely talk to my sister as is. I feel like I might be the a-hole because my sister had nowhere else to turn, and only asked me for a shower. I turned away simply because she was high and with a stranger. I feel like I should have had more compassion for our situation. It was only a shower. Am I the a-hole? So, I kind of want to say AITA here. Obviously, drugs are bad. They're bad. Don't do drugs. Very bad. But the only evidence we have of this drug use is apparently the sister being high and the male friend possibly also being high. According to who? Your wife. Not to say your wife can't be trusted, but what's her opinion of someone being high as hell? Because I assure you, when some people meet me for the first time, they think I'm on something too. I'm just saying, yeah, look, you can look at the eyes and that kind of stuff, but even that sometimes, especially when they're a drug user, I just feel like there's been a lot of jumping to conclusions in this story. Secondly, does your sister know she's not ever allowed to bring strangers to your home? How do you know this friend is not someone that's been genuinely helping her with her addiction issues? Now that said, reading back through the story, it's not exactly him who kicks her out, but herself. She kicks herself out. Ooh, okay. Revelation that's gonna make me do another one of those 180s. So big comment questioning what the hell the mother was doing giving away these personal details. OP responds to this. From what the mother says, my sister asked for my wife's number under the guise of holiday plans. She really could have just told my sister, I'll tell your brother to get back to you about that. Now I believe her. She's a good lady, she just made a questionable choice. Very poor choice, especially when she knows how my sister is. So the very fact that the sister here has gone with a ruse rather than just being upfront, yeah, that's not... I suppose I'm going off a bias myself because I know quite a few people who are accused of being drug addicts and such when they're not. They're very, very well controlled of themselves. And don't get me wrong though, the idea of obviously your parental instincts kicking in and wanting to protect your wife and children from drug addiction, I suppose the road of helping your family with drug addiction in the first place is just always going to be a shaky one. Another story that I didn't even know was a thing people did. Am I the a-hole for not traveling with friends who fake disabilities? My wife and I often travel with friends. One friend in particular and his wife have no mobility issues whatsoever, but he or she One friend in particular and his wife have no mobility issues whatsoever, but he or she routinely asks for wheelchair assistance when flying. This enables them to cut long TSA lines and board the aircraft first. He has tried to get me to piggyback with him, but I refuse. I've expressed to him that this practice embarrasses me, especially since he's so brazen about it that they walk off the plane unassisted upon arrival. I've started making excuses to travel on different days or times to avoid dealing with him, but he knows why and says I'm being self-righteous. Am I the a-hole? Top comment, AITA. For being friends with people that fake disabilities, you should be appalled by their values, but instead are only embarrassed when other people notice. Get some goddamn values. That's some good insight. Do you have any other opposing views? Always AITA. This is a great point from someone who's actually disabled. What you don't seem to get is it's not just a simple wheelchair ride. All the staff will go out of their way to help you, putting greater time pressures on them. I am disabled, and the help I am given is invaluable. But the number of people able to get it is limited, so not everyone is able or allowed to push a wheelchair. So when your friend decides to do this, they limit the available number of staff for legitimately disabled people. Your friend is a funk knuckle, and you are a complete a-hole for not telling the staff the truth, that there's nothing wrong with him, he just doesn't like waiting in queues. No wonder he walks off at the end. Disabled people are taken off last. How he hasn't been banned? I don't know. Yeah, let me guess, your friend's anti-vax too, isn't he? Yeah, look, we've got an everyone sucks here as well, but it all seems to be based around the idea that you being friends with these people make you an a-hole. Like, who's more of an a-hole in this situation? The person who ditches their friend because of that friend's values that are either ignorant or misconstrued or misinformed, or the person who sticks by that friend and isn't afraid to smack them into the face with some logic and reasoning? Like, personally, if I ever had a friend who turns out they assaulted someone, I'm still gonna be their friend. I'm never going to let them be excused from what they did in their past and make very certain that they never do that kind of thing again, but I'm still going to be their friend. It's like the last story. You can argue that, by giving your sister a place of shelter and stuff, you're encouraging her to be normalized and be okay with this drug addiction lifestyle. But what, the better option is just to go no contact and ditch her? Let her just die off in the trash? No, when your friend's an a-hole, you stick by them so you got a closer shot towards their face when you want to knock them into gear. Well, that does it for today's video. Thank you, as always, for giving your time and attention to me today while I ramble through these for you. If you're this far into the video, you clearly enjoyed your time, so please support us by liking this video. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe. Do all the supportive things you can do to help a growing buddy out. Until next time, though, my name has been Jack. You have been amazing, and I hope you have a wonderful day. See ya.